Okay guys, in today's video we're going to be going over a lot of basic and advanced tips in Grounded to help you in the newest Grounded update 1.3. So the first tip I have for you today is going through the upper yard without needing an explosive for this rock right here, because this is limiting our access to the upper yard. So instead of using an explosive, we can use some grass planks. 3 to 5 is what I would recommend, and all we need to do is come up to this rock, crouch, and huck it into the rock. It's going to get stuck on the rock. All you need to do is just jump on top and we're up in the upper yard. Simple as that. Next up, I'm going to go over trophies and stuffed animals. Trophies, any trophy specific to a certain animal, so such as a black ox beetle. We mark the foe and we get a damage buff down here for 15 minutes. So every time we press E on it, it'll reset it and we'll get a 15-minute damage buff to that certain creature. And the same thing goes for stuffed creatures. So a stuffed black ox beetle, you rub it, and you get 15 minutes of loot luck, so you have a higher chance of getting rarer resources. So if you put these two together, you're gonna have more damage and get more loot from these guys, so you're pretty much farming resources pretty much, and it's the exact same. Any different creature has the exact same. Next up on the list is having pupa hide and berry chunks on the jerky rack. You can go ahead and use 3 berry chunks for 1 berry leather, or 5 pupa hide for 1 pupa leather, or you can do a 1-to-1 conversion on the jerky rack. You now have 3 jerky hide right here and 3 berry hide right here. Really easy and simple. You're just gonna have to wait a bit longer for it to dry out, obviously. Our next tip is, this one's a really simple one, but it's a 1-to-1 conversion as well for the spinning wheel. Silk rope is 1, lint rope is 1 lint, and plant fiber is 1 crude rope. Using plant fiber for 1 crude rope is really efficient instead of using 3 for 1. And also, you can cancel something. So if you're like, oh, I need this 1 lint for some reason, double click it and you've got the resources back. Simple as that. Next up, we have upgrading your bed. Now, it may seem a bit different. You might be like, why would I need to upgrade a bed? It's just a cosmetic feature. No. The lean-to makes you sleep for 8 hours. That's it. The simple bed, every time you sleep, you get an all-day hunger and thirst reduced. So you're losing less thirst and less hunger during the day. And the petal bed gives you comfy defense, which pretty much makes it you take less damage after sleeping in the bed. So when you can, try upgrade your beds to a simple bed or a petal bed, either. The next tip is with garden patches, you can grow mussel sprouts, surprisingly. So what you're going to need to do, place the mussel sprout in, and you can use spoiled meat to make the growth time a lot quicker, or you can use rotten food to make it have a green thumb chance. And the green thumb chance pretty much makes it that you get 2 out of the 1. So instead of getting 1, I have a chance of getting 2 mussel sprouts. Next up, we have all the pet tames. So in this game, you can tame all 3 pets. You can tame the aphid, the weevil, and the gnat. What you're going to need for all these, the aphid needs plant slurry, the weevil needs mushroom slurry, and the gnat needs spoiled meat slurry. The way to get these guys is, all you will need to do, either plant fiber, spoiled meat, or mushrooms, and a grinder, and all you're going to need to do is just click once and you have all your slurries right here to tame pets. Pets have different buffs as well for you, so it's not just a cosmetic feature just having a pet like a Minecraft dog. The aphids give you a buff that reduces stamina drain while sprinting. The weevils make it that you reduce thirst drain, so you just lose less thirst. And the gnat just makes it that you have an increased glide with your dandelion tufts. Not really useful than that. I'd say the most useful is the aphid, so if you're going after any of these pets, I would go for the aphid. Next up, this tip is a little bit different. Obviously, we need water in this game, so dew catchers are going to be fantastic. I know what these guys are doing here. Water is going to be stuck on this dew collector, and you will have 4 droplets of water, which would be really useful if you're running low on water. So for early game, use a dew collector. I would recommend 2 per person, so 1 for you to drink and then 1 for canteens. But for late game, instead of using dew collectors, go for the mantis fountain. Granted, you will need to kill the mantis a few times for this, but this is an unlimited drinking water source, as far as I know. So right here, go ahead and drink some water. Seems to be an infinite amount. It doesn't seem to break at all, but for an infinite water source that you can relocate at any time, it's really useful. Next up is making the hot tub. Now you might be like, hot tub is a cosmetic feature. Yes, but also it gives you the same bonus as it does in the hot charcoal area, which gives you the hot springs. This is pretty much just a band-aid, a bandage whenever you're sitting in here. So if you're at base doing nothing, sit in here and you'll regen your health. Now next up, there's going to be a few tips in this one. So first of all, we're going to go over the trinkets. When you're starting your first world, these trinkets are really easy to craft. These trinkets are really useful. The sturdy shell is mostly for multiplayer playthroughs. You just take less damage from friendlies. The nifty needle gives you more bow damage, and the astonishing acid makes it on your 3rd hit you deal more damage. These are really easy to craft and gives you a massive head start in early games. So I would definitely recommend crafting at least 1 of these trinkets, or all 3 of them if you want to swap and change them out. Also, when it comes to upgrade materials such as the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, quartzite, and marble, these do not respawn. So the respawn rocks you find around the world, the first time you break them, they will not respawn. So be careful with that. My next tip for you is when it comes to tier 1, such as the pebble axe or acorn armor, whatever, I would not recommend upgrading them at all. You're just wasting your upgrade rocks at this point. Because if you upgrade your pebble axe, say, to level 5, the tier 2 insect axe at level 1 is going to be a lot better than level 5 pebble axe. You're spending a lot of resources just to upgrade it to tier 2, which is not worth it. And the exact same goes for tier 2 insect axe, like level 3. It's going to be outbeaten by the tier 3 Toma axe. So upgrading with tier 2 and tier 3, I would recommend upgrading. Tier 1, don't use your upgrade rocks upgrading these at all. And my next tip for you is just to learn what each armor piece gives you and what their set bonus is. And if you didn't know, there are set bonuses in this game. For example, the clover hood, if I have 2 pieces on the clover hood, I will get the light armor ×2, tenderfoot defense ×2, and then if I get the third clover set, I will now have a set bonus piece, which gives me a trickle regen, which is small health over time. So if you have 3 pieces of the same armor set, you get a big bonus. Now some of these are kind of bad, some of these are kind of good, such as the ladybug gear. If you have the full set of ladybug gear, you will get the set bonus of healing after blocking attack. This is really strong, and yeah, just look out for your set bonuses. And same with tier 3, pretty simple. But let's say if I want to mix and match all 3 of these together, I won't get a set bonus effect, but instead I'll get light armor, medium armor, and heavy armor. So I've got 3 different types of weight on me, as well as the other bonuses the gear gets. So the clover gear gives me tenderfoot defense, I get overbearing from the tier 3 black ox gear, and then I get the block strength for tier 2. So mixing and matching gear is good, but keep an eye out on set bonuses. The next tip I have for you is if you're using a salty weapon or a spicy weapon and you kill an enemy that gives you raw meat, it will either cook that meat for you or dry that meat out. So for example, if I kill this weevil with a salt morningstar, which is salt damage, it will give me weevil jerky, and if I kill the weevil with spicy damage, it will give me a weevil roast. So in other words, it'll either cook it for me or it will dry it out. So the same properties as cooking it on a roasting spit or drying it out on a jerky rack, just on a weapon. So if you go down the spicy path, it'll work with any other weapon. If I go down the salty path, it'll work with any other weapon. Sour and fresh don't have anything right now, but maybe in the future. Also in the newest 1.3 update, shields now give you a debuff. When you're holding in your offhand, yes, you can block more, but you're also going to be dealing a lot less damage. So when you can, just don't use a shield if you don't like losing damage. If you're not confident with perfect blocking, have a shield. You're going to have a little bit less damage, but you're going to be more defensive. The best offense is a good defense. Unless you know how to parry correctly, then there's really no point for a shield anymore. Also, another really helpful tip is when you come to bows. In the game, shooting a bow has 2 different types of damage. The one damage is if you tap, and the next damage is if you hold the shot and shoot, you deal more damage. There is no bar that tells you if you're fully maxed out. So for example, I'm going to shoot this roly-poly once. That's an uncharged shot. And now I'm going to shoot the roly-poly again and have a charged shot, and you will see the damage difference. I did a quarter of a health bar on that one, and this time uncharged, I did slightly less. So there, if you charge your shots a bit longer with the bows, you will deal more damage. I'm still not sure why they don't show this or have like at least some sort of bar that tells you if it's fully charged. The next tip I have for you is meals. Let's say you want to combine 2 meals, because you can do it with smoothies, right? You can have a damage resist and a damage buff smoothie at the same time. With meals, you can't. Eat a spider slider, you'll get extra crit chance down here. But what if I want the Black Ox burger to have crit chance, damage resist, and max health? This unfortunately does not work. It just gets rid of your previous meal. So yeah, this is a really helpful tip. Another really helpful tip is when it comes to rotten gear versus the non-rotten gear. So let's go ahead and grab ourselves the rotten bee gear and the rotten stinger spear. So let's go ahead and get the non-rotten bee gear and the stinger spear, and we will notice something a bit strange. We're going to chuck on the normal bee gear and we have a set bonus. Rotten gear does not give you set bonuses, and if you did not know either, the rotten spear does a little bit less damage than the normal spear, as you can see down here. As same thing goes with all the other gears. The rotten gear has slightly less durability and defense compared to just making it outright. Another tip I have for you today, guys, I am on my woe mode playthrough, and the one thing you should learn is the enemies, weaknesses, resistances, and weak points. For example, red worker ant is weak to stabbing and spicy damage, and has a weak point of its eyes. So you deal more damage to its eyes, and you deal more damage by stabbing it and using spicy damage. But let's say, for example, if we're going to go for a firework ramp and you use spicy damage, you're going to be losing a lot of damage if you hit it with spicy attacks, and you're going to notice it. Same thing, it's weak to fresh and has a weak point of the eyes. Now there are some creatures that have resistances and weaknesses, and you can't really do anything about it, such as the wasps and wasp drones. They're weak to salty damage, but also chopping, slashing, and stabbing. So unless you have a hammer with salty on it, there's really not much you can do about it. So learning enemies' weaknesses and resistances as well as weak points, also the orchid mantis has a weak point of its eyes, if you didn't know that, is really helpful. So you're prepared when you're fighting certain creatures in the yard. And also just peeping the creatures. And if you guys didn't know, I've peeped the wasps, and if I peep it, I can see its resistances and stuff on the side of the screen. So I don't really need to go into my data tab and look at it and pause the game and whatnot. I can just do it straight ahead by peeping. So peeping creatures, learning their weaknesses and resistances is really helpful. Another tip I would strongly recommend, now this is my WoW mode playthrough again, everything's maxed out, but when it comes to milk molars, upgrade your max active mutations first. Don't go healing, hunger, thirst drain, max health. Go max mutations, because this is going to help you out a lot, because more mutations, in my opinion, is better than having more health, more stamina, and more healing. And with mega milk molars, resource or consumable stack size are pretty much the best ones. Max arrow stack size, unless you're a bowsman, there's no real point for having this maxed out straight away. So early game, max mutations, consumable stack size, and resource stack size. Also guys, having different mutations for different weapons is really helpful. If you don't have a certain mutation equipped for that certain weapon, you're going to be losing a lot of damage. For example, if you have assassin and you don't have this equipped, you're going to be losing a free passive bleed effect on your enemies. And if you guys didn't know, having a mutation loadout is really helpful. On my WoW mode playthrough, my mutation A slot is all my damage. So when I'm attacking enemies, I switch to my A and go for damage. B is my speed and stealing and dissection expert, so getting the maximum parts out of each creature. My C is my harvesting and hauling stuff, so fresh defense, natural explorer, meat shield, and all that sort of stuff. And my D is for running around the yard, such as natural explorer, cardio fan, daredevil, and Mutation. I would recommend you get used to using mutation loadout because it will help you in the long run. So instead of going in the menu, oh, I need to quickly swap mutations out, you just press T and you swap. And also when it comes to gear for running around the yard, the best gear is aphid slippers, and then the natural explorer mutation and cardio fan. These three are like go hand in hand, and you're going to be speeding through the entire yard. Another really good base location is on the oak tree. I think a lot of YouTubers or grounded YouTubers have spoken about this. On the oak tree is really good, and for one reason and one reason only: having zip lines around the entire yard. For example, let's say I want to go to the upper yard, I will take this zip line. If I want to go near the Brawny Boy bin, I'll take this zip line. If I want to go near the stump or the wheelbarrow, I'll take this zip line. Building up here is really easy, and it's going to be really beneficial for you guys. And one final tip for you guys today is knowing how to animation cancel. What I mean by animation canceling is pretty much the second I finish attacking, I block straight away and I'll hit start attacking again. So for example, if I'm attacking normally, it's going to take a long time for me to start attacking again. But if I block cancel after my third attack and I block, I'm able to attack straight away again. See how quick I'm attacking here? And this is me normally. And I'm spamming the attack button as well. So that's pretty much it for my tips and tricks. If you guys want to know more tips and tricks, please let me know down in the comments. I really don't know how to talk about a lot of tips off the top of my head because it's all built in my brain from 400 hours of playing this game, so it's kind of hard shoving 400 hours of tips and tricks into a single video. So I might make multiple different ones, but yeah, this is all I can think of that will be really useful for you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.